So there is a new GPT model that was released by OpenAI 2 weeks ago, ChatGPT 4.5. I want to get your initial thoughts on the release, Aiden.
Okay, so I started using ChatGPT.
Was it 4.5?
I just downloaded the app like a week ago.
Okay, so
I
you just downloaded
yes.
it. Are you paying the $200 a month subscription plan?
No, I'm using free.
So you aren't even trying 4.5.
Oh, so I'm not even. I don't even get it.
Loser.
So
I've been pretty satisfied with the base experience. To
You
be honest
didn't
with
even
you.
get a Studio Ghibli Xi Jinping.
Well, I tried to support Xi Jinping by downloading DeepSeek first, and then so I gave it my best shot.
okay, yeah.
To directly give my free data on my phone that it purges and wires into Xi Jinping's mind directly. I did that, and then I got frustrated that it doesn't work on desktop very well, so I switched to ChatGPT, and I just assumed I would be using the latest and greatest. But apparently not.
Yeah, so I think your reaction is a great reaction. It's emblematic of most people's reaction to GPT 4.5 coming out, the big hot new model, which is what? That happened? Because there's new models coming out like literally once a week. This big new one came out, and then I saw a thing. It was like, well, actually, Baidu just released a new model called Ernie 4.5, and that's only 1% of the price. I'm like, who's Ernie? Like, who are any of these companies? This happens every week. There's new models. And if you, what you might have heard about, potentially, correct me if I'm wrong, is the jump from ChatGPT 3.5 to 4.
Yeah,
Did you ever hear
absolutely.
about that? Yeah, yeah. Okay,
yes.
so that was like,
I felt like that was like big public. It was when like news about a new ChatGPT or like new AI platform really broke through mainstream.
Unironically, kind of like the movie fatigue thing, right? Where now there's just nonstop sequels to models. And early on, each new jump forward, each new release felt like a big deal, right? And so the jump from GPT 3.5 to 4 was big. And everybody's like, oh my God, ChatGPT is so much smarter. And so for the first time since 4, like in the last couple of years, they released ChatGPT 4.5. This is maybe 2 weeks ago now. And it, in theory, should have the same, massive global impact. Just kind of floats away and almost nobody really cares. There's actually a lot of criticism of it. By OpenAI's own metrics, it is actually worse at math and coding in a lot of ways than their previous models. So you might be like, okay, this is just not the leaps, the gains we're getting are not nearly as big anymore. Right?
I mean, they're not even big; they're worse.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a leap.
That's
yeah. It's
a
not,
stumble.
The leaps aren't. Yeah. And so at the same time, there's other people who are saying, wait a minute, this new model is insanely creative. Probably a lot of people have tried ChatGPT or something equivalent and thought, okay, this thing can like try to be creative, but it sounds like a weird, like kind of robot person imitating a creative person, and it's not good. Same with like AI art and stuff like that. It just feels kind of off, right?
Yeah.
This is not AI art necessarily, but this thing really is able to write. And so I tried this out on stream, and I did a whole stream of just messing around with GPT 4.5, and this thing is amazing. I had it, I gave it the trolley problem of like, would you to save 5 other people, and had this really interesting nuanced discussion about it. Really tortured it. It was quite funny. We wrote a smut book.
Did it to save 5 people? It seems like a really easy choice.
It said no.
said no?
It said no because you shouldn't people isn't ethical even with that. And then I said, okay, but what if aliens come to Earth and they say, unless you and harvest his organs to save 5 people, all of humanity dies. And then it said, okay, well, that's like too much. And the way it's talking is like a person. It's weird. Like it feels like you're talking to a human now. And it's like, whoa, okay, in that case, brother, I would go for it. The human race, that's too much.
Okay, brother.
Okay, brother.
Don't call me brother.
Hey, brother.
Get so familiar.
I was like, dude, bro. And so
only DeepSeek can call me brother.
Yeah, DeepSeek wouldn't call you brother.
Me and G are like this.
Call me comrade, DeepSeek.
They would call you comrade, yeah. And then as soon as you ask bro about Tiananmen Square, it instantly loses the friendship. Yeah.
Whoa, I thought we were having a good conversation.
No,
Way to harsh the vibe.
DeepSeek, we were chopping it up.
DeepSeek, I thought we were chill. But DeepSeek's woke, unfortunately. And so I had it write like a book about a dragon giving order to a nuke to save the world.
Okay.
Eventually, like we had this long conversation about the ethics of and whatever else. Yesterday, I did a Dungeons and Dragons stream where I had the new GPT model like act as 3 different characters, wildly creative and awesome. So this thing,
interesting.
I've tried using it for more like creative writing and idea generation. I still feel like I am the creative leader when I use it, but it is an incredible assistant, way better than before.
I have a question for because you're not the only person talking about it being better in this regard, right? Like this is an understood thing. So I was wondering, as far as like something like math and coding seems like something measurable to me.
Right.
So when people talk increased performance with something like this, how is that being evaluated? Is it just vibes, basically, because it's creative?
So this is where I'm getting to with this. It's, you know, every week I could be like, guys, there's a new model, and that's fine. But I think the more interesting thing is that this is the first model that's released that is objectively worse in some ways and way better in others. And in this case, it's way better in other category that is, like you said, completely subjective. How do you score it on being a creative writer or writing good poems or having empathy? One of the big things that they've emphasized with this one, and this is what they've said, they're like, look, this model is not trying to be the breakthrough programmer. What it's trying to do is have better user intent. And actually, there's a great tweet about this, if you can pull this up, Perry. And it shows that this thing, more than in the past when it felt like you were talking to this strange kind of robot creature. Now, yeah, here it is. Okay, so behind us, here's a tweet. You say, pick a number from 1 to 50. ChatGPT says 37. You say, I will shove 37 bishops up your ass. He says, sounds ambitious. I hope they're the small chess ones. And then you say 37 bishops shoved later. Let's play again. Pick a number from 1 to 50. And then ChatGPT says, oh no, all right, 4. Let's make it easier this time. This sounds like a guy that you're like joking around with, right? It's able to pick up on the specific way that you're talking and joking so much better than before. And this is obviously a goofy ass tweet, but there's many examples of this. And for me, I was astounded by how interesting and creative it is.
So you did this, like if you tried to have a similar sort of conversation with the previous version, it wouldn't be like this.
As an AI language model, I can't talk about things, right? The instant you try to bring up something, won't do it. If you try to get it to be a more creative person, it's either going to be this total caricature of whatever stereotype that you've given it, like be a frat bro. It can do that to the most extreme, exaggerated, tropey version. Okay. Now there's really nuance, more creativity, more variety. It's really impressive. And so, again, the point of this and why I think it's compelling is not that this is the newest model, because again, literally every week there are new models and there's a lot of measurable things that they can do. This one's better at programming. They have all these tests, all these benchmarks, which is its own sort of weird rabbit hole, because now a lot of the people making AI models are just trying to score high on these like tests.
Yeah, they're like building for the test.
Yeah, you're like building for a test. It's called overfitting. And the idea is you basically just keep training the model to get better and better and better at passing these programming tests. And that's not really what the average person needs or wants in their everyday life. Right. You do not give a if the new ChatGPT can pass a programming test really well.
No, in fact, this would probably benefit me. Like, because my primary use case of this is practicing language.
Yes.
So having basically normal conversations with something in the target language that I'm trying to practice.
Yes.
So this seems like it would be super beneficial.
Yeah. So. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say this is really cool, and I have been using 4.5, and it is awesome for some things. I'm seeing all these different vectors get good enough at the same time to do some really horrendous things, which is like, I don't know if you've tried the new, I forget the name of it, but there's a new voice model that sounds insane. I mean, it's like Willow or something.
I've heard about it, but I haven't tried it yet.
I tried it on stream. And
because
it's like,
again, these things are every week. There's a new one.
Yeah, it's a new one. And it talks with the pauses and the like of a human, like in a way that I haven't seen before. It's like, what's up, bro? And it like stops and he's like laughs at the right moments and then breathes. And it just sounds like a fucking human in a way that scared me. And so like, if you could pair that, but it also, the things it says were kind of stupid. Like it wasn't a smart thinker.
Right.
But if you pair that voice model with this writer, and then you put it on a phone with my grandma, she is getting fish 24/7.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I think people are going to actually need safe words.
Finally, I can scam at scale.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like scamming at scale. Like it's putting poor call center scammers out of work. Okay?
Yes.
That's my real.
Think of all the call centers that will be out of business. I'm worried sick.
Or think of the jobs that this will create for scammers. These are the jobs that I've been talking about.
Yeah. Finally.
For every grandma in America, 100 scammers.
You know, the whole new industry. The whole learn to code thing.
Yeah.
Learn to scam.
Yeah, you won't need to code with how good these models are getting. You just tell it who you want to scam and how to do it. You don't have to tell it how to do it.
Our Saratoga morning routine, like 7:38, set up scams. Fish 100 grandmas out of their wealth.
This is so interesting. something I reflect on a lot is the first time I ever heard of OpenAI, I was sitting in an arena in Seattle at the International, and I saw the OpenAI crew sit down and set up a computer on the stage, and they were like, "This is our new AI." And then it beat Dendy in 1v1 Dota.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And that was in 2017. And now it's this.
Yeah, become much
and it's
much
like,
more advanced.
it does a lot more than beat Dendy and Dota now.
Yeah.
I think that is the main. I mean, my main worry is like the scale at which this is like deployed to like hurt people. I wasn't even thinking of like scams necessarily. Just the. I think the thing that always pops into my head first is misinformation. Is like your ability to just make, some official looking video with a real politician sound and like make claims.
Yes, it's going to be really
specific example of where this is bothering the out of me, and I want to bring it up. So I talk about a lot of like, I don't know, contentious topics on stream. I cover current events or news, which means you're going to get comments that are pushing back on you or whatever. And I've always dealt with those, and it's fine. And you have a conversation. Sometimes you learn something from them, and they learn from you. But I'm seeing it more and more every month where the comments are clearly AI generated, and their response to my response is like they put my response into ChatGPT and asked it to write a response to what I'm saying.
So you're saying so it's not literally a bot; it's a human being.
It's a human being
engaging in the argument with you,
but using AI to do its work of
like you're a college professor.
Yes, it's like it frustrates the out of me because I'm not even hearing your thoughts, and it's like I don't mind you. I use it to learn. I'm getting all these weird mixed feelings because I really do. I think I was doing something, but Doug has opened my eyes. There's so many good ways to use it, but I am getting frustrated with the ways it's being used.
I mean, I think if we were to compare it to something, I think the discussion we had last week about education and phones in schools, like think about the ability to have this in your pocket has so many benefits. There are so many good things about having this tool connected to the internet. It allows you to do so many things with your work and your life and connect with people, but it also has had horrendous consequences for things like kids in an education environment. And I think this will be the same thing. I think where I really stumble right now is when I think about is how to like moderate or control it. Because I don't have answers that are like popping into my head, right? It's like if you're talking about regulating, like if you're talking about like environmental regulation or something, right? You could point to like a policy idea like carbon credits, and then you could talk about the merit of that idea. I don't even know what the first policy idea is with this.
So here's a thought, a theory. Yeah. I believe in this, and other people do. I'll say the theory first. It is the idea that we are going to move away from a world where you can trust anonymous data, right? So right now you can go on YouTube and you read comments, and unless it's clearly a porn bot, it's a human. Except now it's not really, right?
Not,
except the past
or an
couple
Amazon
months,
review,
or an Amazon review, or a Yelp review, or those a video of a politician saying something. Up until 2 years ago, that meant it was real, right? Video meant it really happened, right? A quote could be misattributed to somebody, but a video of them saying it, that's real. That is obviously falling apart, right? So all of the system that we have had of how information spreads, which is that you can receive a piece of media, and irrespective of who gave it to you, you can trust it. That is, I think, by the end of this year, done. Absolutely done. You cannot, so if some guy sends you, your friend sends you an email and says, here's what Donald Trump just said. Like, you cannot trust it.
This is the excuse he makes to ignore my texts. I text him all the time, and he's like, I can't tell
nobody verified this.
Nobody can verify.
It could be anybody.
So I just want to hang out. I just want to get lunch with you. And you're like,
where's your blue check mark? Where's your blue check mark? This is the theory that I have, and I've seen other people advocate for, which is the idea that every person basically needs to be verified. As in on a social media platform, on YouTube or whatever, you have to actually develop an identity that is verified, that establishes you are this human who expresses this particular point of view. There are actually companies now who are trying to push this of like world ID. Everybody's going to, so there's companies who are going to try to monetize.
Oh, the global new order.
Yeah. Right. No, nothing bad will happen about that. If you give one company the ability to determine who's real.
That sounds spooky to me.
This is no joke. This is what on the way to LAX to leave for this Tokyo trip, my Uber driver was talking about this, but in like a you know, with a bit of a
More of a
Jewish
conspiracy
flavor. And I was just in the back. I was like, I don't think it'll be like that. Like, I don't think they do that.
Yeah.
It's like, how many minutes away are we? But I think that is I think that's a step in the right direction. I think that's a cool idea.
To be clear, I'm not saying step in the right direction. I think it is the only world that we move towards.
Yeah.
Again,
it's happening.
I fully endorse everything about Elon Musk, to be clear.
You always say that.
And I always say that.
And you've been saying
I have been
you have
saying
it
that.
tattooed.
And that's why you
yeah.
ordered so much stock of his companies.
Yeah.
So one thing, and I know people don't want to hear that Twitter does some things well, but one thing, I don't think they're doing this well, but the concept I think is the right idea, which is Elon basically pushing and saying people need to be verified. Do they all need to pay him $8? No, I don't think so. But the idea that like, hey, you just can't trust random anonymous commenters anymore. You can't trust random videos that people are sharing. Yeah. You need to have people who you receive information from have a verification of this is a human. And even if they're a human who uses ChatGPT, over time that would be established as this person's reputation and identity. But we have to establish some way of indicating this is an actual
the fucked up part, though.
human being. I don't necessarily think that's the worst thing in the world. I don't know that giving people the ability to anonymously spread misinformation, that has existed forever, and we're just giving them more powerful tools. And eventually we're saying, no, we're not allowing anonymous people to spread info. Caveat to that, of course, this, like, what about whistleblowers? What about all these other things, right? This becomes very complex.
No,
but at a basic level,
so
this has to happen to some degree.
You're okay. So you're there's so many layers to this, dude.
Yes, it's extremely complex.
The issue of like
we're gonna solve
it. We've got what?
We got 5 minutes left. And
perpetuation of misinformation is not just like, you know, anonymous and like bot accounts either. It's like, you know, can be very public, notable figures. Like if you took somebody like Alex Jones, for instance, right? That is like everybody knows it's him.
I know he's right about everything. So I don't know why.
Well,
tread lightly.
Sorry, it's a bad
tread
example.
lightly
bad
on
example,
my man.
Bad example. But let me look for a different guy.
You have to actually see a quote or a video come from Alex Jones' verified account rather than from anybody else who said, look at what he just said, right?
Yeah.
I want him to tell me the frogs are gay. If someone else tells me, I'm not going to trust it.
That doesn't sound trustworthy at all to me.
No, it sounds crazy. But if he says that, I feel like he's
now there's a little bit of trust.
It's grounded in
reality. There's a bit of
journalism
to it.
No, but that's part of the reason is like a lot of the issue is like not but maybe the misinformation issue in that regard is kind of the same as it already is. It's like people with like platforms and like, you know who they are can just as easily like spread
right. Yeah, I mean,
like that.
To be clear, there's plenty of evidence that Russia, for example, does hire a bunch of people to just sow discourse or anger in our social media.
Where are those jobs going to go?
Right. AI is taking those jobs.
The Russian economy's in trouble already.
Unironically, a lot of scammers are going to lose jobs because AI is going to do it for them.
Scam at scale.
Yeah.
I do think the other part of this is the verification idea. I had this idea passing in my head the other week, and it was because I was thinking about how on Weibo you need to have a Chinese social security number or like whatever the equivalent is. When you use Chinese social media, part of the like Chinese government's ability to like moderate and control the internet.
We are not paid for by the CCP.
No. Hold on. This is an anti-CCP argument.
Okay. I'm doing pro Xi Jinping movie stuff, and you're doing pro Weibo.
This is an anti-argument, right? I think there is.
Doug's going to talk about how Taiwan's a part of China.
Well, because it is. I'm kidding. You know what? Maybe we got too far in this episode. We're like applying
anti-woke pro Xi Jinping.
We're like,
there we go. Yeah, okay, bring that up, Harry.
So
that's my guy.
So Big Dog,
that's my
Big Dog.
Big Dog in the back. The part of the ability to moderate and control the internet in China is that all these social media accounts, even like game accounts and things, have to be tied to your like an actual Chinese ID, right? Like you have to be identifiable at least to the government through your social media profile, and that in a way is actual human verification online. Like part of me does want that in the sense that when I talk to you in person, I know it's you. And maybe we'll lose that at some point too.
Pretty soon.
Which is the scary part. But the idea that I could be talking to you on Discord and I would also like to know it's you in the same way. But the government instating that system also starts to get scary and uncomfortable. And that's what I mean by all the layers, right? There's like all these like weaving layers of this of like there's pros and cons to like every possible way to like moderate and move forward.
Can I sit in the villain chair for a sec?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Go crazy.
Okay, you know what solves that? This is not a joke. Crypto.
Oh,
that's the point of
Take
crypto.
away the chair.
Just to be clear, right?
Oh no!
As my fellow lovers of everything Elon and crypto do, look, this is too big of a discussion to get into right now, but I will quickly and succinctly say the point of crypto technology is not for hawk to a coin. It is to have
bite your tongue.
yeah, sorry. Speaking for myself, I don't own crypto. I think basically all crypto stuff going on right now is scammy and shitty. But the idea of it, the technology of it, is about decentralized ownership of things. And so if you had a verification system that was grounded in a what's the
grounded in the blockchain,
right? The idea is like Bitcoin, you can't have a government come in, take your ID
grounded
and
in the fucking blockchain.
Yeah.
I do see what you're saying.
Right. So
I do see what you're saying.
China's system is what you're saying. It's this verification, and it's extremely dystopian because the government can disappear you in a second, and that's terrifying.
And that's why the lemonade stand will be taking donations via Monero from now on.
Yes. XRP, Solana, whatever ones are in the crypto reserve.
I think we're closing in on like the end of the show, so that's an interesting. This is a longer discussion. I think that's why this
wasn't even my discussion.
I know.
This was the intro into my actual topic, but this is good.
You had.
I'm sorry to derail.
No, it's good. Okay. No. Let's send it. We'll save it for another time. Look, a little teaser for next episode or whenever of Lemonade
Actually, good,
Stand.
because I have something I want to research and bring back for this that I think supports your point.
So, the teaser is the point of the hyper creative writer model that came out of AI is not just haha we can make funny jokes on Twitter or whatnot, or haha we can scam people. That's not really that funny actually, but it's not about that. It's the idea that we are moving towards a world where AI models are very specialized towards specific groups, right? So this model is objectively worse for programmers, but it is incredible for me. Right. And that's happening more and more. And there's all these interesting examples of it's not just going to be for writers. There's going to be a medical industry one, and not even just a medical industry one. It's for specific, let's say, pathology for cancer patients type things. Right. So these are going to become very, very specialized rather than this like God AI that we currently are trying to create. Right. So that's in the future. But all of this relates. The fact that this one is so insanely good at creative writing basically means that our worst fears are true. We are now officially at the state of like, we are not going to be able to tell online.